Now, another type of manuscript that gets used a lot in conjunction with diary is the word logbook. And this isn't helped by the fact that a lot of 19th century diarists, especially those going to sea, titled their diaries logs. We have a lot of logbooks at the Penobscot Marine Museum. However, a lot of them, most of them, are not at all like diaries at all. And that's because the log was an official record of the ship's voyage. And if you got into trouble, having a logbook that was properly filled out was a good way to show that you'd made all of the necessary efforts to keep a disaster from happening. So when you talk about logbooks, the formal definition of a logbook is this formal record of the ship's voyage. And I should mention before I go further, you'll notice that I'm handling archival documents and I'm doing it without gloves on. This is a conservation decision that's been made by the museum. Gloves help protect our objects from the oils in our hands, which is really important when you're working with things that are made out of metal or other surfaces that are liable to degrade. In the case of paper, because paper tends to be so fragile, it's a trade-off. It's not as damaged by the oils in our hands as we are likely to tear it. And so that's why the museum and many places have made the decision not to use white gloves. But it is something you should ask if you're ever in a special collected archive, what the institution chooses to do. So anyway, carrying on to the logbook. So here we have, speaking to the ubiquity of these things, this is a pre-printed front page. Logbook, Voyages of the brig Abbey Clifford, commanded by E.W. Clifford. And in this case, this vessel was in fact named for the captain's wife. Edwin W. Clifford was from Stockton, Maine, which is where the Abbey Clifford was built. His wife was named Abby, and she accompanied him on a number of voyages, including, as it will turn out, this one. But a logbook, to take a look at what the logbook is, we find that it is, in fact, a pre-printed form. It tells you where you've been, where you're going. It has a number of columns you want to come in. Hours is the time that the record is being made. K stands for knots, which is the speed of the ship. F can be for the force of the wind, although obviously Captain Clifford or his mate didn't think it was very necessary to fill this out. Course is the direction that the ship is steering. So when you go to plot it on a chart, you have this record of which way you're pointed. Winds, what direction the winds are. Leeway, what direction you're drifting, because sailing ships can't sail a straight line in the wind. They do drift a little bit downwind as they're being forced that way. If you're a scientific captain or mate, you can record the water temperature, the air temperature, and the atmospheric pressure. But in this case, folks on the Abbey Clifford weren't doing that. And then you have remarks. And unlike a diary, remarks, or perhaps very like a diary, remarks are very much a matter-of-fact statement of what's happening on the ship. So on Wednesday, the 13th of December, 1871, the first part, moderate winds. Okay, so they're sailing along just fine. Middle part, fresh breeze. I'm picking up a bit. Latter, moderate. And then they exchanged latitude with an English bark bound north. So double checking where their position was, 42 days out from port. And the bottom line on each day of entry is a place to write your navigation, what your course has been, how far you've sailed, so very basic plotting on a chart, how many degrees of latitude you've sailed across the day, your departure, how many degrees of longitude, latitude by dead reckoning, so doing some basic geometry and figuring out where you think you are. Latitude by observation, so taking a sight with the sun and figuring out where the atmosphere says you are. Variation in your compass, which is important. Diff of longitude, again, how far you've sailed. Longitude by your instruments, your chronometer, and longitude by observation. So many different ways of pinpointing your position on the chart. And again, important because if you happen to run aground, it helps be able to say, well, I thought I knew where I was, or something along those lines.